Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner, and in today's Cover One Film Room feature, we are forced to watch linebacker Terrel Bernard's film. And I jokingly say forced because you guys know I love me some linebacker film. And Bernard's film against the Commanders is up there with some of Matt Milano's finest moments as a linebacker in the Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier defense. Bernard was everywhere, a Johnny on the spot, always around the ball. And it's something that's come up over the last few weeks when you talk about his play. Everyone talks about instincts, and I'm not a guy that typically talks about instincts a lot because to me, instincts mean that it's innate. It's just a given for him. It's in his genetic DNA. But more times than not, it's really recognition, processing, experience that leads to players playing with those said instincts. But it's hard to argue that fact when you watch Bernard's film because he's always around the ball. That type of play against the Commanders allowed him to fill just about every type of stat you could as a linebacker in the Bills defense. Listen to some of these stats. I'll read them off. 5 solo tackles, 2 assists, so 7 tackles total, 2 sacks for 11 yards lost, an interception, a fumble recovery, and really, he probably should have had 2 fumble recoveries in this game. He just did everything you want from a linebacker in coverage, whether it's zone or man. As a pass rusher, the timing and closing speed was shown like a true matchup linebacker. And you just saw him always around the ball, always sensing things correctly in this game, which is why he had such a productive game. So without further ado, let's jump into this film because, like I said, it rivals some of Matt Milano's finest moments. All right, first play, halfway through the first quarter, first and 10 situation. Just tremendous spatial awareness and zone coverage, communication pre to post snap by Bernard, and does a great job of clogging in the passing window, which leads to a sack. This is a very good coverage sack from the Bills. So watch the communication that is happening as this motion comes across the formation and essentially puts the offense in a 4-strong formation. So 4 eligibles to one side of the field. As I said prior to the game, Eric Bieniemy has played the Bills a bunch. And with as much zone as the Bills play, they love to flood zones with 4-strong formations. Watch Bernard here. In total control of his defense. He calls that push call. You see him pointing out wide. He's letting Milano know that he is releasing this running back to him. So he releases it, calls that push, and now he's getting his eyes on the tight end. So they essentially switched on this play. Gets his eyes on the tight end, and just watch the body language and the route stem that this tight end sells. He's obviously running some type of over or crossing route. And Bernard immediately, right there, passes him to Taron Johnson. And Johnson knows it's coming. Watch Johnson's eyes right here in the middle of the field. He immediately sees that, and he triggers and closes that green. So great communication between Bernard and Taron Johnson on this play. Now, Bernard's getting his eyes on any threats that are coming into his zone. He catches the wide receiver in his peripheral very faintly right here near the 20-yard line, and that's where Howell's looking. And watch Bernard get his eyes right on the quarterback. Right there. You see him get his eyes on the quarterback. Howell has nowhere to go. This wide receiver is taken away because Bernard saw and sensed something opening up behind him. It's taken away, and Howell doesn't check it down, and that leads to the sack. Just great work from the defense on this play. Great communication as the motion happens, and just great nonverbal communication between all these defenders to shut down the passing lanes, make the quarterback think about checking it down, but because Milano's down there at the bottom of the screen, he doesn't, and that allows the pass rush to get home. This is a fine example of Bernard being in control of the defense, but also the pass coverage complementing the pass rush. In the very next play, 2nd and 18, the Commanders try running an RPO with some free access right here by the wide receiver out wide, but it's taken away, so Howell pulls it down. But watch Bernard process this play, throw his weight around, and then find the ball to bring down the quarterback for the sack. Watch this from the end zone angle. You see the communication between Milano and Bernard. They're keying the offline tight end right here, letting him take the linebackers to the ball. You can see Bernard's eyes are right on that tight end, and as he comes to insert, look at Bernard just blow him up. So even if the running back had gotten the ball here, Bernard's right there to make the tackle. Look at that. He realizes that Gibson doesn't have the ball, so what's he do? He finds the ball, tracks it, and goes and gets it. I mean, this guy's a pure hunter, a predator. And for as much talk as we've heard this offseason about how small he looks next to the other linebackers, this boy throws his weight around like a guy twice his size. So on the very next play, 3rd and 19, you see something that I've talked about the last few weeks with Bernard. He senses routes so well behind him, lets the quarterback's eyes take him to the ball, and he gets the interception on this play. He's such a good combination of Milano's instincts and athleticism, but I like him in zone a little bit more. Milano's more of a matchup guy where he's good in both areas, but you can especially play him in man coverage. I don't like Bernard all that much in man coverage, but this is where he excels, when he can drop to his zone and read the quarterback's eyes and let that quarterback take him to the ball. So as he's dropping to his zone, you see him squeezing and gaining depth. So he's squeezing that number 2 wide receiver, gaining depth. And then right now, he's reading the quarterback's eyes. Quarterback's looking straight down the middle of the field beyond Bernard. He's not looking at this check down on 3rd and long. So he lets those eyes take him to the ball. They're getting a clearing route, and then here comes the dig in behind him. And Bernard just sits on it. He doesn't worry about the check down, the outlet. He sits on it, lets those eyes take him to the ball, and then climbs the ladder for the interception. Fantastic read by him. Again, great sense in zone coverage here, realizing that a route's probably coming behind him if the quarterback's staring down that third of the field, and just goes and makes a play on the ball. Watch it from the end zone angle. Gets to his area, squeezes that route by Dotson, then just finds the ball, climbs the ladder, gets the interception. Fantastic work by the second-year linebacker. And I don't think this was a fluke. I think this is what you're going to see from this playmaker for the rest of the year. You can almost see him processing runs when you watch him from the end zone angle. Watch him on this play. You see Milano calling out this offline tight end. Usually when teams put this guy offline, especially when we're talking run game and run downs, he's going to take you to the ball. And so watch Bernard process that post snap. So right there, you see him peek at the tight end. Tight end's moving inside. Here comes a counter play to the defense's left side. Look where his eyes are. He sees the back block right here by the center and the left guard pulling. Again, he lets those guys take him to the ball, stays over the top of this combo block or double team that usually wants to cut off Bernard. Oliver does a great job of muddying that up. That allows Bernard to simply and cleanly work over the top. Great boxing in on the front side of this play. Taron Johnson comes down like a dog, takes on that lead blocker, that tight end. And once again, teamwork. 111th, Bernard's there to make the tackle with Ed Oliver. Just fantastic work on this counter play to the weak side of the formation. Great processing post-snap here by everyone at the second level. Great work at the first level of occupying and muddying things up so that the guys at the second level to help make a play on the ball. On to 3rd and 9 at the bottom of the first quarter. Another sack by Bernard, and this is something that the Bills didn't do a lot of under Leslie Frazier, and that's send 6-man pressures. They're going to send Bernard and Milano on this play. Great timing and closing speed by Bernard. Very good man coverage on the back end. On 3rd and long, Howell is forced to escape the pocket, and Bernard tracks him down. So watch the timing of this and the poetry that is on this play. So what the Bills are doing, they're overloading the pass protection. You're going to see Oliver slant inside. Floyd stays out wide. Milano's hugging that guard and occupying the running back. And Oliver helps make this play as well. Watch him occupy the center and guard. The center and guard aren't able to pass this off quick enough, giving Charles enough time to kind of kick out and get a piece of Bernard. And Bernard, once again, he timed this so well. And look how he hugs that play right there by Milano and Oliver. He hugs it, plays with speed. There's no way that the offensive line can pass this off to get a piece of him. And then he just hunts. He goes and gets Howell for the sack. So once again, very good work in disguise prior to the snap and execution by the guys up front. Oliver, Floyd, Milano inserting to occupy this running back. They do a great job of doing their job to free up Bernard. This is one of his finer skills. He's a very good pass rusher, and you can see him turn that corner and bend and flatten to the quarterback. to finish and end this drive. Watch the communication prior to the snap. I mean, Bernard is essentially calling out this run right here. Now, this play doesn't count because of the hold called on Jordan Phillips on the backside here, but just look at Bernard, read this play, stay over the top of this combo block that is working to him. Just smoothly gets over the top. Now, watch him dip that shoulder and get by that guy, and there's the hold by Jordan Phillips. But I just love how he senses those rushing lanes and he goes and gets the ball. So while this didn't count, I love how he works through the traffic against the run. See that hold from a better angle here. See Bernard calling out the plays, reading it, and staying over the top of that combo block. And there's the hold right there that keeps Bernard free. But once again, staying over the top of that, sifting through that, realizing that they have 3 guys front side. There's no need to leverage the ball out wide, even though the ball has leverage on him. He senses the cutback lane before it even happens, and he goes and makes him tackle. Top of the second quarter, 2nd and 6 situation. This is a play in the low red zone schemed up to beat Bernard. Good communication between Milano and Bernard right there. 3 eligibles to the short side of the field. They're working to cover up the tight end and running back. And as that running back goes out wide, you see that push call again. So Bernard is pushing the running back to Milano. That means that Bernard now has to pick up the tight end. And what the Commanders are expecting is Bernard to fly out wide with the way that the tight end is releasing out wide and making it look like he's running towards the boundary. But he's running a pivot route and then bending it back inside. So they want Bernard to over pursue. But you can see Bernard does a good job of closing that gap, getting his hand on the hip of the tight end so that he can't just free release back to the middle of the field. And that throws off some of the balance of the tight end and doesn't allow him to release cleanly to the middle of the field. So this play was definitely schemed up for Turner to get Bernard one-on-one, to get Bernard to over pursue out wide. But Bernard does a good job of recovering and doing just enough to limit the tight end. On to the very next play, 4th and 2 situation. Bills force a turnover on downs. And this is just another example of Bernard feeling and sensing routes coming in behind him and being right at the point of attack and where Howell wants to go with the ball. So watch his head on a swivel here. He's keeping his eyes mostly front side of this play. You see him right there, check front side. There's a route coming in behind him from the tight end. And again, he kind of senses it. Maybe he catches it in his peripheral right there. But just watch how he flows with that guy as he comes into the screen and how the pressure is working once again with the coverage. But Bernard's right there if a play and a more accurate throw was made. So here's a 3rd and 6 play at the top of the second half and just shows the interchangeability of Milano and Bernard. When the Bills went to man coverage, they trusted Bernard to hold his own versus tight ends and running backs. You see him to the bottom of the screen. He and Milano are in man coverage. Milano has a tight end. Bernard has a running back. They trust Bernard to carry and cover running backs and does a great job attacking the line of scrimmage, closing that cushion and gap, and then just squaring up near the line of scrimmage. You don't have to go much further than that. The Bills lock down all of the targets for the Commanders, and this, once again, allows the Bills pass rush to affect the quarterback. He escapes a pocket and throws it away. Top of the second half, again, the communication and understanding of this defense by Bernard and Milano and Poyer on this play. This is one of those plays that's just poetry in motion. The Bills took away threat after threat, forcing Howell to go to other targets in his reads, and then Bills defenders were just on the spot making plays. So another 4-strong formation with the running back going to the top of the screen. Bernard flies out wide to go get him. Tight end is pushed to Milano. So now Milano has his eyes on the tight end. He's taken away. Howell goes to the crossing route. They're like, you know what? Yes, that means McLaurin's going to be there. But Poe dropped down into that underneath area, and he's right there to eliminate Terry McLaurin on this play. This is just poetry. Just watch the communication, the processing pre to post snap, and how the Bills defenders forced Howell to go to his second and third reads at times and they just weren't open. There were guys from the Bills defense there to make the play. 2nd and 9, third quarter. The Commanders make it look like an RPO, a run pass option. So Bernard is the conflict defender. That's why you see him take that step right there. And this hesitation right here, when he's processing run the pass, pass the run, that is a give read. If this is a true RPO, hard to tell, but Howell hands it off to Gibson. And just watch Bernard fill that cutback lane. His vision and awareness of the guys in front of him shutting down the front side of runs, which allows him to not only stay clean on this RPO, but to find that cutback lane and make that tackle in the hole. I mean, that understanding has been phenomenal by him when we're talking defending the run. He can make these solo tackles in the hole on these RPOs with ease. Once again, watch the processing. Part of being a linebacker is reading not just the flow of the play and where the ball's going, but also what's happening in front of him, the blocks that are unfolding in front of him, the block destruction by the defensive lineman that is unfolding in front of him, and just filling that cutback lane. Another play against the run by Bernard and my dog, Taron Johnson, filling from depth. Prior to the snap, you see Milano pointing out the offline tight end. He's offline, but at this point in the game, the Commanders did a good job of using him at the point of attack as a blocker, but also throwing some false keys in there. And so rather than read the tight end on this play, Bernard is actually reading inside. So he's reading the guard, the center, and the guard along with the direction of the ball or leverage of the ball. Just watch his eyes on this play. Watch his helmet. On the snap, you get that back block by the center, and then boom, there's Charles looking to pull, and Bernard's eyes are right on him. So he scrapes over the top, closes this window right here. You can see him stall and stop right here to make sure that the running back doesn't hit that hole. And then now he's got to work over the top of that combo block by the guard and tackle. Works over the top of that after closing that first window. Pressure from the backside by Taron Johnson forces Robinson to bounce it out wide. There's Taron firing his gun. Bernard's there on the front side of the play with Taron Johnson to hit the ball carrier. 5:34 left in the third quarter, 1st and 10 situation. Once again, the disguise and patience by Bernard prior to the snap at not showing his hand here as a pass rusher. Check the timing. Right as the ball snapped, he's firing downhill. And does he get to the quarterback? No. But he affects the quarterback, and that is the name of the game in McDermott's defense. So watch him affect the quarterback here. He's coming out wide. Running back does a good job of coming to wall off Bernard. So Bernard cuts it back inside, and what does that do? That gets the quarterback off the spot, and he actually beats him, but gets tagged from behind by Charles right there. Takes him off his feet. But what this does is get the quarterback off the spot. Now he's climbing the pocket, and now Floyd can retrace the pocket and go and get Howell near the line of scrimmage. Fantastic work by Bernard. Great timing on this rush, affecting the quarterback, getting him off the spot, and Floyd is there to clean up. I absolutely love this play. 3rd and 22, bottom of the third quarter. Situational awareness. Watch Bernard. Watch Bernard on this play. 3rd and 22. Look at the command and maturity shown by Bernard on this play. Look at him tell Milano, hey, get back. This is 3rd and long. Get back. It doesn't end there, though. Now watch this awareness in zone coverage. As the Commanders send a switch released right here by these two wide receivers, watch the patience and processing of this route concept by Bernard. Look at that. Look at him carry that wide receiver right down the middle of the field. I mean, top to bottom. This shows his maturity, his leadership, his command of the defense, his understanding of the situation, 3rd and 22. But then post-snap, he's able to carry this route down the middle of the field and process this. This is freaking unreal from a young linebacker. Howell is forced to check it down. And what does that do? That allows the defense to rally and make the tackle. Quarter 16-0 Bills. Still a close game. 1st and 10 situation. And there's something to be said about Bernard's ability to always be around the ball. This is his fumble recovery. And when I went through the scouting academy, one thing we always talked about is be careful how you use the word instincts, because instincts are typically the result of very good processing and recognition and awareness. But it's hard to argue against using that word instinct and saying that it's almost innate when you watch Bernard's film, because he's always around the ball. And so you can see him drop to his zone. He's coming downhill as Settle blows up this screen. He comes downhill and he's there, Milano, to make the tackle on Gibson. But Gibson spins out of it. One hell of a job. He spins out of it, but watch Taron Johnson come from the left side of the screen and make a play on the ball. Smacks Gibson after that spin move. And then Bernard, Johnny on the spot. He's just right there with Milano to recover the ball. So there's something to be said about using that word instincts. I don't like using it often because, like I said, it's hard for me to fathom that this type of play is just innate, but it's hard to argue against that when you watch Bernard, because he's always in the correct spot. He's always Johnny on the spot on these type of plays. Thanks for tuning in to that Cover One Film Room feature of linebacker Terrel Bernard. If you like this type of content, smash that like button, leave us a comment, tell your friends about us, and at the very least, subscribe to the Cover One Sports YouTube channel. I'm Eric Turner, owner of Cover One and host of the Film Room here on Cover One Sports. If you guys like that type of content as well, you can find us live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. right before Cover One Buffalo for even more in-depth film breakdowns from us. Until next time, go Bills.